Hello, thank you for watching Taxpayer Alert. I'm Al Segala. I'll be your moderator for this session. And we always have interesting people. And you usually find out new things that are going to happen right here before they happen. Such may be the case with our present guest, Richard Varrasso. Richard, welcome.
Hey, thank you so much.
How'd you get into this idea of a new Chamber of Commerce?
Well, I moved up here and found out that there were opportunities, and I tried to work at the Visitors Bureau. That didn't quite work out. And Debbie Ponte said, well, why don't you try at the Chamber, because it was open. So I applied at the Chamber, and I did get an interview. And I said that I had several ways for them to make revenue, a lot of different ways for them to raise their membership, and that I had a lot of talent I could bring and put on the table for them. And I showed them my crystal ball here and told them that I could see into the future and make things work and bring hope and faith. And it didn't work out. So I went home and didn't get the job, and I thought, well, shoot, I'll start my own Chamber of Commerce, but it's going to be a little bit different, more of a new age thing.
Okay.
And so I brought these ideas forth, and my partner who lives here, you know him, his name's Dennis. He gave me all the assets to some for-profit companies and said, take these, we're not going to use them anymore, make a nonprofit and do something for the community.
Oh, that's great.
So my bag is really media, so I'm really media oriented. I have a radio show, and that radio show is copperopolis.rocks, right on the internet. And I play bands that don't have record deals, local bands. And so from the radio show, I decided maybe to have a TV show, and I talked to the folks at Copper Valley, and they gave me the courthouse, and we're going to do a TV show there in the morning, and it's basically communication, and it's to talk about, a lot of it is about the events that we do around here, from the Mark Twain Wild West Fest to the frog jumps and everything. There's so many events around here, so a lot of it's to talk about that, but communication is key, and so a lot of it is to communicate.
Do you have family?
Yeah, I moved here because my 14-year-old son is going to Bret Hart.
Oh, cool.
And it's a fantastic school. So basically I moved up here from Fremont to, because there was a house available, and I was able to move into it and get settled and get Felix into school. He went to Mark Twain last year, and now he's a freshman. And so I have Bay Area ties, but I've been coming up here for a long time. When I was 14, they had land for sale. Forrest Tucker sold land on Lake Tulloch.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and so the folks bought land up in Crappie Cove, which is by the dam, and built cabins up there, and I've been coming up here ever since, and we've hooked up with Dennis. He has ranches, and we've shot movies up here and MTV videos, and we had a record label that was based out of Nashville, but we really based it out of Copperopolis for country. And we got older and didn't want to go on the road with bands anymore.
You know, it seems the older I get, it seems like I'm wiser and I understand things better, but I forget what it was I understood.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the more you know, the less you end up knowing. So I've learned that, and I've been up to the top of the heap in the entertainment business. I've managed big rock stars and traveled all around. in Learjets and limousines, and also little vans stuffed full with stinky musicians. And so I've got a lot of experience out in the world, and now I live here, and it's a sleepy little town, Copperopolis. Yeah. And I'm thinking how I can help the community and get involved, because now I live here and I care. I think Nextdoor brought me around to that too.
Okay.
I see a lot of communication in Nextdoor that is...
That's an email program that people, they subscribe to it, and it's chatter about the neighborhood.
About the neighborhood, and I see a lot of chatter and a lot of good things, and I also see a lot of gossip and a lot of stuff that maybe isn't true. Mm-hmm. So communication, again, is real key, and that's what I'm going to be doing with Creative Community, is trying to communicate that.
So Creative Communities is something new in our county. I used to be a chamber director when I was younger, and I looked to the chamber to look out after the interests of the business community and promote the business community, and it does a pretty good job, especially when you have a really highly motivated executive director. And this last one, I think she left, but she was just great.
Well, Stacy had a great personality, and she really did well with bringing people together and making them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that she's leaving that position, but she's in a good another position that's going to be helping homeless.
Yeah.
And I think that that's fantastic. The board, you know, the chamber is a real important piece to the business community,
right.
And there's got to be motivation there. So I'm not quite sure why it didn't work out for me there, but what it did do was pose me an opportunity, because I asked a few questions. One is there's about 3,500 business licenses in the county,
right.
And I think they only have about 250 members, or at least that's what Stacy said. I thought to myself, wow, that's an opportunity, that there's a lot of people who aren't members. And the other one is I asked them on the way out, what are the other industries of Calaveras besides tourism, which we all know is number one.
Right.
And they mentioned agriculture and whatnot, but they failed to mention real estate. And I think that the realtors are probably one of the biggest industries here.
Yeah.
And so I thought that there was opportunity to start something else. We're not competing with the chamber. What we're doing is we're augmenting opportunities for other people.
Yeah.
A lot of it is gig economy. There's not a lot of employees around here. There's a lot of self-employed people.
Yeah, true.
And the self-employed people need to be recognized and helped. And communication helps them too when it comes to marketing. People understanding who does what, and that's how business happens. And so that's where I'm going to use my equipment, my television, my radio, whatever, to spread the word like that.
Well, it looks like you also could provide help in businesses advertising, learning how to get the word out to future customers.
And that's exactly right. I have a program where we're developing all this now, but I have some pretty high-level people from around me that's been around me that's helping to develop this, and we're developing a program where when you become our sponsor and you sponsor us, you not only sponsor us, but you get business services with it. And some of that could be publicist services, advertising services, spots on the radio show, you know, to be able to come on my TV show and tout what you're doing. You know, so the whole spectrum of sponsorship should be the fact that the people who are spending money on the sponsorship get something back.
Right.
And that's basically what I'm designing.
Have you gathered some members yet?
It's really great. I've got about 165 members, because in the very beginning, I'm not charging any money for membership. I just want a lot of energy.
An email list.
and an email list. So I'm already up to about 165 email members.
Right.
They didn't have to pay anything because we're not asking for money this year until the end of the year. and basically, the members are there because they know that there's an energy level,
Right.
and they want to be part of this energy. So it's great that I've gotten that far. And to become a member, you just go to my website, and there's a little form there, and you type in your name and email, and bam, you're a member.
Yeah, I think your website is, repeat that website?
It's creativecommunitycoop.com.
creativecommunitycoop.com. Now, did you have your pencil? We'll repeat it a little later. Go get your pencil.
And it's a long name, but I did it on purpose because to get a nonprofit name, you have to go through a name search.
Right.
And that one was available. So it's going to take a few months for the paperwork to come through for the nonprofit, which is why I'm not really wanting revenue until the end of the year.
Right.
So I could, next year, I'll have the nonprofit number, and I could take that money in legitimately tax exempt.
Now, are you donating your time now?
So right now I'm donating my time based on what was left over from the assets that Dennis gave us.
Okay.
Everything's paid for, all the websites, the equipment, everything's paid for till the end of the year.
I see.
And so I am donating my time in the sense that everything's paid for.
Right.
Next year might be a different story, but
right.
we got a little time to work on
Well,
that.
you'll be an executive director. You should be able to earn something there that make you comfortable.
Well, in the place that I'm at right now, I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
And so I'm okay with that. And of course, everything in order to grow will need a little bit of funding.
Yeah.
But there's many different ways to get funding, such as the events that I have. I've already worked out with the Metropolitan a whole concert series for next year, where I'm bringing in some pretty big acts to the Metropolitan, and that's going to help her because she has a great place in San Andreas for concerts. And I'm going to be doing my TV show at the Copper Valley. We've got some comedy nights planned. And
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah, so I was involved in comedy in San Francisco. And the great thing about comedians is that I could actually have them drive up and not worry about a truck full of equipment like a rock band has so much.
Yeah.
So, and the Copper Valley, the guys down there are really interested in making things happen for Copper Valley and doing it for the community. And so they've been really nice with letting me have my coffee clutch there, which is another communication tool is the coffee clutch, which is similar to what Debbie does at the Angels Camp. She has a little coffee clutch, no agenda. I thought that was a great idea, so we're doing it down at Copper Valley. Dennis Mills came, and we had the first one last Monday, and we had a great little roundtable conversation. No agenda, just talking about stuff, but it was great because people could ask questions and get answers instead of being on Nextdoor where it's like, gossip. And so we're going to have another one this Monday and another one the Monday after that, which is before the show. And I'm going to gather information from that and then air it on the show.
Oh, cool.
And actually, the show is going to be information oriented. It's going to be family oriented, so there'll be information in the middle.
Right.
And I'd like to invite you to come and do the Pledge of Allegiance for us.
Okay.
That would be great.
Remember, I'm old now. I hope I remember it.
Well, we've said it so many times, it should be easy to remember. But one thing that I don't like is the elimination of the Pledge of Allegiance during certain functions.
Yeah.
I really believe that back to the Constitution and our flag, the flag is something to salute. Now, you may not agree with everything, but it is our place, our lives, our home. And we should salute that flag and support it as much as we can.
Well, that's very good. And also, this is not typical of the entertainment community. The entertainment community is a little bit more on the left side, a little bit more socialist, and we'd be quite happy with no Pledge of Allegiance.
Well, see, and that.
So you're an unusual character.
I'm a very unusual. I'm the most conservative liberal guy that you could probably find, and I'm a very straight-laced pirate. So if you could make sense of that, one thing that I really believe in is family and raising my child properly and explaining to him the differences in what's right and what's wrong. I don't just, punish him, I explain.
Right.
And it might take a little bit of my time, but I'm hoping that it makes sense for him later on in life.
The family is the very basis of a free society. If you don't have a strong family, it's really hard to keep your country free.
Yes, and that's the support that you need. You need to be able to raise your children, and then they need to be able to take care of you when you get old.
Yeah, and raise their kids.
And help,
Yeah.
So it's a revolving situation that I think at some level is dissipating, and maybe the entertainment business is part of that, because it is so liberal, and a lot of the mindsets, maybe some of these entertainers should read this book, because it's really important that our conservative ideas and our liberal ideas are all important, but they at the end have to come together in the middle for the better of the community.
Right.
And
well, you have to have the communication, and you can't communicate with somebody if you're calling them names.
Oh.
Their mind's not open anymore.
It's ridiculous. Not only the names, but to not want to deal with people because of something as dumb as like the color of their skin, or maybe they might be wearing something that's different than you wear or whatever. Rather than look at that in a fearful way, it would be better to embrace it and find out, well, why do you wear these colored clothes, or why do you believe in this, or why that? Because I might learn something rather than just have blinders on.
I still don't like tattoos.
Well, I'm with you.
I'm too old.
Well, here's the thing. I ride motorcycle and play guitar and everything, and I don't have one tattoo because I really care about my body.
Yeah.
Some people enjoy it, and some people go overboard.
Yeah.
And
I'm very careful not to express that opinion to people that have tattoos. I might even say, that tattoo looks nice.
Some tattoos, I see some gals with some fancy tattoos, great color.
And artistic.
Yeah, but the ones where you got a Grim Reaper or something like that,
Yeah.
I'm wondering where your mindset is.
Yeah, true.
So, but that's the thing about people. And one thing that I think that the United States is good for is that everybody can be something here.
Right.
So there's a freedom that's enjoyed, and for us to stifle that freedom isn't fair to one side or the other. So again, we need to all work together.
The Copper Valley is so unique. And the only thing that could be near it would be Couts Winery, Ironstone Winery. They put a lot of investment money there and attracted many people. And as a real estate broker, I'm so delighted to see something creative occurring for human beings, where they can enjoy themselves and prosper. And so what you're doing seems to fit hand in glove with the upward reach in direction for the future. So Copper Valley communication is kind of interesting, because the Copper Valley development does need to communicate better with the public, and even some of our local grouchy people need to feel welcome and happy. And
well, and some of the local grouchy people need to have some patience. Like I went to a meeting at the Copper Cove Homeowners Association, and an older lady thought that I was involved. I don't know why, but she thought I was involved, and she told me all her problems. And I sat there and listened. And I had no reason to listen. It wasn't my thing. But I listened, and I thought to myself, this lady needs someone to listen to her. And I think that you mentioned to me once before that you've learned to listen. Mm-hmm. And I think that a lot of us need to listen to what's going on and what people are saying, so we could discern how to deal with it.
I really recommend Toastmasters. Toastmasters had done so much good for people. I'd be willing to say that most of your elected representatives have gone through Toastmasters and learned how to public speaking, and also how to listen. Yeah, so if you have good information and you're not able to communicate it, you might as well not even have it. So having a good idea, you almost need to be an expert at communicating with people that are not like you or may not even agree with you.
Right.
Because just about everybody wants to have a better tomorrow.
Yes.
There may be a few that don't, but most of them want a better tomorrow. So that's the one thing about human beings that allows them to communicate, because they share that idea of a better tomorrow.
Well, and I think a better tomorrow counts on faith. You have to have faith that tomorrow will be better.
Right.
And that's where my little crystal ball comes in. I use this as a prop.
Yeah.
And it's not that this crystal ball is for real and I get real information out of it.
Well, it's got skulls on it.
Well, that's the Calaveras is the river of skulls.
Yeah, that's true.
And so this
I try not to think about that.
Well, the history of that is bizarre because they found all these dead Indians in the river, and that's why they named it that. But this little icon here of a crystal ball just reminds me that part of the future is faith. And part of it is that we need the pursuit of happiness. Why would you want a future that's unhappy?
Right.
And so we need to be happy together. You and your family, me and mine and all. And so therefore we need to live together. And part of Cooperopolis is a growing pain. I mean, we have Disneyland. That place is like Disneyland. It's fantastic, that building, but it sticks out like a sore thumb because it's in between all the cows.
Yeah.
And so we need to make sense of that. And the developers have a huge amount of things on their plate to have that make sense.
Yeah.
But we need to help them too, and so the communication is good for the people who don't want development, and it's good for the people who want development because it's going to happen.
That's a fundamental question. Who is responsible from controlling your property if you own it? Should it be controlled by the community, or maybe a gang of people that call themselves a community? Should it be controlled by government? And the answer to those questions will also provide the answer, should we be in a free society or not? If we're to be in a free society, my neighbor may paint his house pink, which I couldn't stand. But it's his house, and hopefully he'll change his mind someday in the future.
It could be a religious thing. I'm a real estate appraiser, and a lot of times I'll come to a house and the door's red. Well, that's that's a Chinese religious thing, is to paint your door red.
Signifies wealth. There's a word for that. I can't think of it now. Sanshe.
Feng shui.
Feng shui.
There you go.
Yeah, between the two of us, we did it.
Well, and that's not our custom.
Yeah.
But we could respect them and their custom.
Right.
And if that's their custom, I actually want to know about it and tell me a little bit about that. So a lot of these homeowners associations want to control certain things, but back to the control is that when you buy a piece of property, it's fee simple.
That's correct.
So fee simple is basically you have the freedom to own that property.
Right.
A lot of countries you can't own the property.
True.
And so there's one thing that we got going for us.
Oh, yeah, one among many.
Now, once you own the property, there is a situation where the government can overlay rules on it.
But there has to be a principle involved, and it has to be for public safety. if the purpose of that regulation is to take over control of your property, it's lost its purpose and it's destroyed your property rights.
Right. And I think that probably was the thrust of some of the arguments with the Copper Cove new CC&Rs, is that they were pressing into the freedoms of the fee simple lots.
Yeah, too controlling.
And now, if you bought a condominium in San Jose, and it was all painted one color, and well in advance, before they even built them, they said these colors are what it's going to be, then I could see why you can't paint your house pink.
Right.
Because you bought it, you saw that you couldn't.
Right. As a deed restrictions is a private contract.
That's right.
Right, which needs to be honored.
Right.
If you don't agree with the deed restrictions, you shouldn't buy the property.
Right, but you knew about them in advance.
Right.
To come to you on a fee simple property and say that we're going to take some of your rights away is probably not the best idea in this country.
No, unfortunately, something so bald-faced as that wouldn't fly, at least not today.
Yeah, and so it didn't. So
yeah.
They tabled that.
Yeah, that was good.
And I don't blame a lot of people blame the board, but again, those guys are just there to push things along, and they're all intelligent fellas. So I thought that the communication there was bad.
Right.
And I said, we're all acting like a bunch of kindergartens.
Right.
You know, we have to be respectful of one another. The main thing is respect.
Yeah.
And I want to hear what you have to say, even though I don't agree with it, because I want to respect your opinion. It's not my opinion, but at least I heard it, you know?
You need to know what the other person's opinion is, especially if it's ill-founded, so that you can help them recover from it.
Yes. If you can.
Yeah.
If you can, at least you could try.
Yeah.
And so anyway, it's back to our freedoms, our Constitution, and the fact that we all need to live together. I got the opportunity to start my own, I don't even want to call it a Chamber of Commerce, it's a Chamber of Talent.
Well, this is a two-part, we have two segments. 2 half-hour segments. So the first one, we've talked about a little bit of the background of why, and then on our second segment, we'll go drill into some of the ways that we will be doing things, or I mean, you be doing things.
Yeah.
And so by watching both segments, a person will be well-rounded about this new Chamber of Commerce.
Well, and I appreciate that. I appreciate letting people know about what I'm doing.
Yeah,
for sure.
Now, you mentioned pursuit of happiness.
Yes.
Along with the Constitution. Do you know that pursuit of happiness is not mentioned in the Constitution?
It's another document.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The Declaration of Independence.
Right.
And there's a reason for that. And the reason was, at that time, there was a slave trade. People were owning other people. And if he put property, life, liberty, and property, as the basic fundamental rights, which they really are, maybe we wouldn't have got the Declaration of Independence so popular, and maybe we wouldn't have a country.
Interesting thought.
Yeah.
People shouldn't be property.
No.
That was a bad idea, probably.
Yeah, true.
And there's been so many bad ideas that if we could just look back in history and see the bad ideas
and correct them,
and try to correct them and be better, you know. Thanks so much.
Thank you for being our guest, and thank you for watching Taxpayer Alert.